Finally, we continue to call on Iraqis to come together. And form the inclusive government that Iraq needs right now. Vice President Biden has been speaking to Iraqi leaders. And our team in Baghdad is in close touch with the Iraqi government. All Iraqi communities are ultimately threatened by these barbaric terrorists, and all Iraqi communities need to unite to defend their country. Just as we are focused on the situation in the north affecting Kurds and Iraqi minorities. Sunnis and Shia in different parts of Iraq have suffered mightily at the hands of ISIL. Once an inclusive government is in place, I'm confident it will be easier to mobilize all Iraqis against ISIL. And to mobilize greater support from our friends and allies. Ultimately, only Iraqis can ensure the security and stability of Iraq. The United States can't do it for them, but we can and will be partners in that effort. One final thing as we go forward. We'll continue to consult with Congress and coordinate closely with our allies and partners. And as Americans, we will continue to show gratitude to our men and women in uniform who are conducting our operations there. When called, they were ready as they always are. When given their mission, they performed with distinction as they always do. And when we see them serving with such honor and compassion, defending our fellow citizens and saving the lives of people they've never met, it makes us proud to be Americans, as we always will be. So with that, Let me take a couple questions. Q. Mr. President, for how long a period of time do you see these airstrikes continuing for? And is your goal there to contain ISIS or to destroy it? The President, I'm not going to give a particular timetable. Because as I've said from the start, wherever and whenever you as personnel and facilities are threatened, it's my obligation. My responsibility as Commander-in-Chief, to make sure that they are protected. And we're not moving our embassy anytime soon. We're not moving our consulate anytime soon. And that means that, given the challenging security environment, we're going to maintain vigilance and ensure that our people are safe. Our initial goal is to not only make sure Americans are protected, but also to deal with this humanitarian situation in Sinjar. We feel confident that we can prevent ISIL from going up a mountain and slaughtering the people who are there. But the next step, which is going to be complicated logistically, is how do we give safe passage for people down from the mountain, and where can we ultimately relocate them so that they are safe? That's the kind of coordination that we need to do internationally. I was very pleased to get the cooperation of both Prime Minister Cameron and President Hollande in addressing some of the immediate needs in terms of airdrops and some of the assets and logistical support that they're providing. But there's a broader set of questions that our experts now are engaged in with. the United Nations and our allies and partners. And that is how do we potentially create a safe corridor or some other mechanism so that these people can move. That may take some time because there are varying estimates of how many people are up there. But they're in the thousands, and moving them is not simple in this kind of security environment. Just to give people a sense, though, of a timetable, that the most important timetable. That I'm focused on right now is the Iraqi government getting formed and finalized. Because in the absence of an Iraqi government, it is very hard to get a unified effort by Iraqis against ISIL. We can conduct airstrikes, but ultimately there's not going to be an American military solution to this problem. There's going to have to be an Iraqi solution that America and other countries and allies support. And that can't happen effectively until you have a legitimate Iraqi government. So right now we have a president, we have a speaker. What we don't yet have is a prime minister and a cabinet that is formed that can go ahead and move forward. And then start reaching out to all the various groups and factions inside of Iraq. And can give confidence to populations in the Sunni areas that ISIL is not the only game in town. It also then allows us to take those Iraqi security forces that are able and functional. And they understand who they're reporting to and what they're fighting for, and what the chain of command is. And it provides a structure in which better cooperation is taking place between the Kurdish region and Baghdad. So we're going to be pushing very hard to encourage Iraqis to get their government together. Until we do that, it is going to be hard to get the unity of effort. That allows us to not just play defense, but also engage in some offense. Mr. President, the United States has fought long wars in Afghanistan and Iraq with uncertain outcomes. How do you assure the American people that we're not getting dragged into another war in Iraq? Have you underestimated the power of ISIS? And finally, you said that you involved international partners in humanitarian efforts. Is there any thought to talking to international partners? As far as military actions to prevent the spread of ISIS? The President, well, a couple of things I would say. Number 1, I've been very clear that we're not going to have US combat troops in Iraq again. And we are going to maintain that. Because we should have learned a lesson from our long and immensely costly incursion in Iraq. And that is that our military is so effective that we can keep a lid on problems wherever we are. If we put enough personnel and resources into it. But it can only last if the people in these countries themselves are able to arrive at the kinds of political accommodations and compromise that any civilized society requires. And so it would be, I think, a big mistake for us to think that we can, on the cheap, simply go in. Tamp everything down again, restart without some fundamental shift in attitudes among the various Iraqi factions. That's why it is so important to have an Iraqi government on the ground that is taking responsibility that we can help. that we can partner with, that has the capacity to get alliances in the region. And once that's in place, then I think we end up being one of many countries. That can work together to deal with the broader crisis that ISIL poses. What were your other questions? Did we underestimate ISIL? I think that there is no doubt that their advance their movement over the last several months has been more rapid than the intelligence. Estimates and I think the expectations of policymakers both in and outside of Iraq. And part of that is I think not a full appreciation of the degree to which the Iraqi security forces when they're far away from Baghdad did not have the incentive or the capacity to hold ground against an aggressive adversary. And so that's one more reason why Iraqi government formation is so important. Because there has to be a rebuilding and an understanding of who it is. That the Iraqi security forces are reporting to, what they are fighting for. And there has to be some investment by Sunnis in pushing back against ISIL. I think we're already seeing and we will see even further the degree to which those territories under ISIL control alienated populations, because of the barbarity and brutality with which they operate. But in order to ensure that Sunni populations reject outright these kinds of incursions, they've got to feel like they're invested in a broader national government. And right now, they don't feel that. So the upshot is that what we've seen over the last several months indicates the weaknesses in an Iraqi government. But what we've also seen, I think, is a wake-up call for a lot of Iraqis inside of Baghdad recognizing that we're going to have to rethink how we do business if we're going to hold our country together. And, hopefully, that change in attitude supplemented by improved security. Efforts in which we can assist and help, that can make a difference. Q. You just expressed confidence that the Iraqi government can eventually prevent a safe haven. But you've also just described the complications with the Iraqi government and the sophistication of ISIL. So is it possible that what you've described and your ambitions there could take years, not months? The President, I don't think we're going to solve this problem in weeks, if that's what you mean. I think this is going to take some time. The Iraqi security forces, in order to mount an offensive and be able to operate effectively with the support of populations in Sunni areas, are going to have to revamp, get resupplied, have a clearer strategy. That's all going to be dependent on a government that the Iraqi people and the Iraqi military have confidence in. We can help in all those efforts. I think part of what we're able to do right now is to preserve. A space for them to do the hard work that's necessary. If they do that, the one thing that I also think has changed is that many of the Sunni countries in the region who have been generally suspicious or wary of the Iraqi government are more likely to join in. In the fight against ISIS, and that can be extremely helpful. But this is going to be a long-term project.